12 for the question. Let's see what we got here. Okay, 12 is not a valid question yet. Give us another reroll there. $36. Okay, this is interesting. Let me see. Let me pick which person we're going to be asking about here.
Sorry to interrupt, but your audio is lucky.
You okay? Yeah, I thought maybe it was just me hearing that.
What's up?
Your robo voice, and almost like you're dropping packets, or something. Like your voice is fucky.
Hold on.
Let me see if the stream is the same.
Let me... Yeah, tell me how the audio is on the stream and if I need to change to my other mic or not. Test.
Try talking a bit more on the stream and I can let you know. Testing. No, your audio is fine on the stream.
Okay, it's just Discord. What the hell, Discord? Maybe if I just turn this voice activity. Okay, let me just turn that all the way down. Okay. Well, let me know if it... Did that help at all? I have no idea.
Yeah, it seems like it did.
Okay, if I turned the voice sensitivity down, I must have been like hovering on the edge of the sensitivity thingy. That must have been what it was. Okay, let me see. Let me roll something here real quick and see which... Okay, so the question of the day is, what is your view on Rishal, the NPC that runs the bookstore? What do you think of him?
Is that the one that we helped, or is that the one that lives closer to us?
Well, the one that they all kind of live pretty close to you. Rishal is the Dragonborn who runs the bookstore. That's just around the corner. The one that you helped is Tally Savar. He's the one who runs runs a wood shop nearby. There's a few other NPCs we know. There is Fala from Curl and Crown. It's probably the other one that you mainly know, and then then of course there's the one guy the shitty competitor bar. You're the Jimmy Pesto to your Troll Skull Tavern. But yeah, she's the bookstore at the Bookworm that you guys have been to a lot of times.
Okay.
So, what are your thoughts on her? Your opinions of Rishal?
I don't think Jinku's really had much interaction with them.
I don't think so.
I think Jinku's only been in there once.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
She's not really a book person.
I mean, I like her.
Okay.
She seems alright, has good prices. She came up with some good educational material for the children, if I recall.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably like to get to know her a little better.
Okay.
Any purveyor of knowledge is somebody that's worth getting friendly with.
Sure. Well, I guess Jinku. Then, what is? Well, since you haven't really interacted with Rishal very much, well, for you, say, what are your thoughts on Fala Lefalier, who runs Corellan's Crown? That's the herbalist shop across the street from you guys. Pretty sure you've interacted with her.
What else can you think you cut out at the beginning of that?
Here, let me. So, in terms of the NPCs around, I guess I'll open this up to all the Troll Skull NPCs, because I can't remember exactly which ones you all have interacted with a lot individually. So there is Rishal, who runs the Bookworm's Treasure. There is Vincent Trench, who's the guy who runs the private investigator firm. There is Fala Lefalier, who runs the kind of apothecary herbalist shop. There is Talisavar Fellbranch and his brother-in-law Horace at the carpentry. There is Embrick and Avi, a fire and water genasi, who run a forge. And then there is where is the guy? I can't remember his name. There's the guy who runs the rival bar. I can't remember his name right now, and I'm trying to find it.
Dead Man Walking, that's his name.
Let's see. I'll find it here. NPCs. Emic Froon. Emic Froon is the guy who runs the rival bar. So yeah, I guess pick. If you have an NPC that you have thoughts about, we'll go with that.
For Mix, follows one of his favorite people because he's always in the herbalist shop getting ingredients for his little mad science experiments in the basement.
Okay.
He always gives him cookies or something, so he really likes it.
Yeah, it's true. She does do the baking on the side.
Jinku hasn't really interacted with many of them, and that's on purpose. Jinku doesn't really get too close to anyone other than who she lives with because she's worried about looking stupid in front of people.
Okay. I know Torta hasn't interacted with too many of these people, but I know you've had at least follow Lefalier's tarts, so that's probably going to be a huge bias towards her.
Yep. The only person that's memorable in my world.
Is Mook still cutting in and out for you guys?
Yeah, I was trying to be nice, but
Oh, god damn it. Oh.
I hate freaking it out, but yeah, it's pretty garbo. Have you turned off the echo cancellation noise reduction BS? Try doing that, see if that helps.
I hate bringing it up too if I can kind of follow what's going on, but when you have no idea what's going on.
Well, and the weird part is the stream audio is just fine. It's Discord's audio that seems to be fucky for some reason. I unmuted the stream and it sounds all right. And I mean, I do that, but then I got to listen to my own voice while I play, and nobody wants to hear their own voice.
Nobody wants to hear that.
How people listen to me, DM. My voice is annoying as shit.
Sometimes you make other voices.
Goblins are my favorite.
Yeah, Discord's effing with my audio tonight too, so don't feel bad, mood.
Get a hammer and hit it, Moog. Yeah, put it in your mouth. The whole thing.
I think you got to sing it just a little bit.
Okay, have I fixed my volume yet?
Yeah, you just got really loud there. I'm gonna turn you down now.
Okay, is that better?
You gotta read like a long sentence. Let's start with the Odyssey. Just start reading that for us, and we'll let you know if we're good.
Well, I guess I'll just. Mick says the follow is his favorite person because it's a good herbalist shop to go to for his mad science experiments.
Yeah, that's a lot better, actually. A lot better quality.
Yeah, it seems like Discord turned on like every single weird option it has for like noise suppression and like background shit, and I never turned those on. So that's what it was. All right. Well, that's good. I'm glad you guys can hear me now. That's important. Might be useful.
Yeah, it's good to be able to hear the DM.
What a Trask! Fuck.
Right?
When did that happen? All right. So now we can all hear each other. Let me give you guys the area here, and if somebody wants to give us a quick little rundown of what all you got up to last time and the important lesson we learned.
Well, we saved ourselves from Mix's intelligent decisions. And the lesson we took from that is friends don't let friends cast friends.
And that sometimes it's okay to run.
Exactly.
We also we learned a lot. We talked, or no, we didn't talk. Torte was instrumental in sneaking back onto that boat and snatching the ledger, which hopefully won't be traced back to us. We might want to burn that ledger. But anyway, got the ledger, and I think we figured out at least who owns the machine thing that attacked us.
Yep.
But I'm really terrible at notes and didn't write that part down. And I was really hoping Zyara would be here because Zyara writes those things down.
Well, that is a public note in Fantasy Grounds.
Oh, there it is.
The Nimble Right Ledger has a list of all of the so far sold Nimble Rights that Captain Zord had done in Waterdeep on this most recent journey here. It was the Grauhunds, the last one there.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I wasn't 100%. All right, so the Grauhund family has the Nimble Right with the red robe and foppish red hat with a feather in it and a long Van Dyke beard.
Yep.
Did we go like searching for information about the Grauhunds?
You have not as of yet. So far, all that you've done is obtain the ledger, and so now you know who at least this Nimble Right was purchased by. And you did go to Raynar's place because you did have like some discussion with Raynar a little bit because you went and visited him at his house, and he let you know where they are and kind of the sort of people they are. They're kind of like wannabe upper class people. Like they're pretty well off as it is, but like they're wannabes into like the real upper class of Waterdeep. And that's actually marked on that map. So there's all the cluster of pins that is Troll Skull, and just to the east of you guys, there's that kind of larger house with a green pin in it that you should be able to see. That one is Grauhund Villa. But yeah, so far you haven't gone and actually like checked out the place or anything. Although, it's like where we left off. You guys were just like at Troll Skull, like you usually are. You gotten back from Raynar's. You have this ledger stashed away. Somebody had hid it in like some spot somewhere. I can't remember which of you guys did it off the top of my head, but somebody hid it somewhere in the bar. But as you all are, here in Troll Skull, this probably early afternoon or so, there is a kind of light knock at the door while you all are standing there, and you hear kind of a voice call through the door, "Post."
Stand way back and use Mage Hand to open the door.
Okay. So Boo, you throw out your mage hand, and it kind of floats over to the door and kind of pulls it inwards. And you see standing on the other side of the door is kind of a maybe early 20s, maybe late teens, human male. Seems to be kind of dressed up in some sort of uniform of sorts. And as the door opens, he kind of leans in a little bit and kind of sees you all standing there awkwardly back away from the door. It says, "Post, letter for you, sir." And he kind of pulls something out of pulls a piece of paper out of the side of his like sack here, and says, "For the little blue one." And he kind of looks around the room and kind of like meets eyes with you, Boo, and says, "At Troll School, you correct?"
Could be. Why don't you set it on that table there for me, please?
Oh, okay. Whatever you say, sir. And he kind of awkwardly sets it on the nearby table. Kind of gives you all kind of a weird look, just because you all are kind of strangely keeping your distance from him. But he sets it over on the table, and just kind of nods and says, "Thank you, sir," and makes his way out of the door.
Why were we all just so weird about getting mail?
You never know who's going to explode.
That's a fair point.
I'll use Mage Hand to open the letter.
Okay.
And then if nothing happens, I'll go over and see what it says.
Okay. So your mage hand kind of opens the letter here and pulls out just kind of a small note that appears to be kind of scrawled on what looks to be a napkin of sorts. But nothing else seems to happen. It just pulls this kind of somewhat crumpled looking napkin out of this envelope, and it rests on the table there near the door.
What's it say?
You pick up the napkin here, and you see kind of written in a rough scrawl, a letter came for your gnome friend. Regards, Filiari. From the Inn of the Dripping Dagger.
It says here that the gnome who died got a letter. The innkeeper has told us. Perhaps we should see if Filiari was a woman, right?
Filiari was a guy.
Oh, we should see if he'll release the letter into our care, and maybe we can figure out a little more about what's going on. We should also, at some point, maybe sit outside the Gralhund estate and just see, I don't know, what we can see.
Okay.
I can do recon if you want.
You are the one who knows about it. You taught us how to do it.
with doing that? I'll take a tart out and eat it, and then offer one to Mix, and offer a little smile to Lou.
Torta, are you planning on going over and reconning Garland's place by yourself while the rest of them go to the inn, or
Yeah,
what are you planning here? Okay.
you got some communication things, right?
Yeah, you do have those sending stones. That's correct. Pair of them.
I can yell into this thing if I'm in trouble.
Sounds like a plan. Are the rest of you all going along with this? Or any of you going with Torta, or are you leaving him to his own devices here?
Oh, he can go. I am not sneaky.
Fair enough. All right. Well, go ahead.
Tart get ate by Mix?
I don't know, did it? Mix,
Oh,
what do you make of this tart?
I think the tart killed him.
Well, the tart is at least in Mix's care, even though we can't seem to hear him right now. So we'll see what the results of that were later on, if that was the case.
Before leaving, I'll cast alarm on the door to my bedroom and any windows or whatnot.
Okay.
Jinku, Mix, you guys want to come with me?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, Jinku, Mix, Boo. We'll start with you guys then. So you make your way south through town, back over to the Inn of the Dripping Dagger, which is down in the Trades Ward of Waterdeep, and make your way inside. It's at this point it's kind of mid-afternoon, so there's a fair amount of people that are in here now. Having the usual tavern fare, and you see Filiari in the back, over behind the bar. Again, he was kind of an older human male, had kind of graying dark hair and a mustache, and he sees you come in, the three of you, and he kind of nods in your direction and kind of beckons you all to come over.
Good morning, Filiari. How are you today?
Well enough, good friend. I'm glad to see you got my message.
I did indeed. We were gonna bring our friend with us, but he's quite busy right now. I apologize. He sent us instead.
Oh, that's fine. That is fine. And he kind of leans in a little closer to you guys and says, "Well, I think it'll be good to get this in your possession. I feel like I've seen a few more shadier figures around as of late in the last few days. So hopefully this is of some help." And he pulls out this envelope that is still unopened. It has a wax seal on it. And he kind of slides it kind of surreptitiously across the bar to you, Boo.
Thank you. Do you have somewhere private I could take a look at this with my friends? Just for a couple moments. And I'll slide it like a silver piece over to him.
Well, I guess you could take a quick jaunt into the kitchen, I guess, and take a look at it there. Not sure if there's people still. There's nobody in the gnome's room upstairs as of yet, but I don't know if there's people watching it. So maybe best to read it back here.
Yes, thank you.
And he lifts up the little bar door thing. He probably has it. What are those called? Those probably have a name. I don't even know. Little flip door, and kind of leads you into the back. into the kitchen, which is pretty well kept. I mean, there's definitely the pots and pans of the day are still there and unwashed. There's kind of a large soup pot kind of bubbling on fire. And he kind of just leads you in here and then says, well, I'll leave you to it. Have customers to attend to. And he heads back around, back out in the front.
It's just called a flip up countertop.
Flip up countertop. All right.
Beat
Well,
me
now
to
you
it.
know.
Is there anybody in the kitchen?
There is nobody else in the kitchen.
I will set this somewhere and back up 29 feet and use Mage Hand to open it. And if nothing happens, then I will look at the contents.
Okay. So you kind of eyeball yourself around the room. It's not a particularly large room or large kitchen, but you kind of set the letter up on kind of a spice shelf against the opposite corner of the kitchen, and then kind of back yourself to the opposite corner, a kitty corner across the place, and throw out your mage hand to go take a look. The mage hand manages to peel the wax seal off, and the letter opens, and nothing of note happens. There appears to be a small folded sheet of paper inside.
What does it say?
It says, Dalakar, I had to give considerable thought to your request, but you were always kind to me, even when your master was not. If you're still in need of my aid, you may claim whatever sanctuary I can offer, Kalain of the Nine Waters. Yeah, I'll put this in a note here for you guys.
Is that a name that we recognize at all?
It is not. There you go. There should be a note now called Dalakar Letter, which is the contents of this. The handwriting that the letter is written in is quite fine handwriting. It seems whoever penned this clearly had some knowledge of good penmanship.
Interesting. Do either of you guys recognize this name, Kalain of the Nine Waters?
Nope, doesn't sound familiar.
Oh, none of you recognize the name off of hand. You don't recall hearing it anywhere. Certainly ask around, though.
Yeah, we should take this to our good friend and see what he has to say about it. That rich one whose father stole all the money.
Oh
Raynor?
yeah, he seems to know everybody.
That would probably be a good plan.
I'll use our sending stone and I'll tell Torte. I'll just say, we're going to talk to Raynar about the thing we went to see.
Okay. Torty, you're during all of this, you've kind of gone down the street a little ways over to Grauhan Villa. We'll talk a little bit more about what else is going on there, but you get this message in your mind through the sending stone that the rest of the group is going to Raynar's.
Just make a mental note of it.
Okie doke. All right. So while that is going on, so the three of you decide to make your way over to Raynar to see if he knows anything about this at all. Torta, you are... Let's see here. So you make your way over to the... Oh, cat! Don't sit on that.
Hey, I've got that same shirt.
You
I
do
just
have...
noticed that.
Yep, you do have that exact same shirt.
Great to copy me. It lets me know I'm the greatest.
uh, so the area around the villa here, like it's a fairly busy area. Like Saradoon Street is, a somewhat larger street, and so there's pretty constant foot traffic and carriage traffic going by. This whole area, I mean, it's only a few blocks away from you guys, so it's still part of the same neighborhood. But most of this area is kind of nicer places. Most of them are a few stories tall. Some of them here and there have like a shop on the first floor, and kind of interspersed along these smaller buildings. You'll get these kind of larger villas like this one. The villa itself, it's on this kind of end of this block, as you can see on that map. And it's got a... it's got a wall around pretty much the entire perimeter. Like that, there's the house structure itself like comes right up to the corner, and like where the building of the house ends, the wall begins and kind of goes around this kind of large yard area. You can see the trees kind of poking up over the wall. Seems to be kind of a nice kind of garden area outside this villa. You find on the kind of south side of this villa, so the side of the villa that faces Saradoon Street, there is a small kind of back staircase that seems to go to a door, and at least from some of the activity in the area, and like you do see like a cart pull up and stop at one point that seems to be delivering some food. Seems to be kind of like a door into like the pantry or the kitchen or something for the servants to access through and accept those deliveries. And aside from that, as you kind of make your way around the block, just kind of casually circling on the northeastern side of the villa, kind of more in that gardeny area. There's a large gate in the wall as well on that side. That seems pretty thoroughly locked down. Like you are able to make out through the gate. You see a couple guards on the inner side of the gate, just kind of one standing on each side. And you do also notice as you're kind of passing by the gate and kind of glancing through there are some other guards that seem to be, making rounds inside the villa itself. So they seem to have some sort of like family guard presence. Like you aren't sure exactly on a total number because there may very well be more in some of the other buildings in the villa. But at least in your short time observing here, you've seen at least 5 or 6 in your passing.
Right. And nothing suspicious. I haven't seen the nimble right.
You haven't seen anything like a nimble right at all. Let's see. Roll a perception check for me. As you've been, kind of walking around, taking in the sights. 11. Okay. Let's see here. So you don't really notice anything else too out of the ordinary. Um, you do see, along with the guards that are uh, inside the perimeter. You see what looks like a gardener of sorts tending to some of the plants in there, and he has a couple dogs with him, pretty large dogs. You aren't able to make out like any kind of breed from where you're at, but they seem like pretty decently hefty dog types.
Okay, and the service entrance for the entry.
Mm-hmm.
Is there somebody manning the door? Or...
Yeah, there is. There was a guard that you saw kind of posted just up outside the door. He was just kind of sitting on a stool there, and the door itself seems pretty well built, like most of the rest of the house. Even though it is kind of a pantry kitchen door, you see that it does seem to have like a decently sized locking mechanism on it, so it's pretty secure from what you can make out from a distance.
I'm gonna run back to Troll Skull, get a nice serving platter, and come back with my tarts and see if I can gain access through the door.
Okay. So you just come over there with a plate of tarts?
Yeah, kind of and some other pastries, just so it's not obvious, and
Okay.
see if I can get access to the house.
Okay. So you head back over to Troll Skull and kind of gather up some various pastries and tarts and things and put them on a platter and make your way back over to Serdune Street with these. Do you just are you just kind of walking right up to the door there with those, or?
Yeah, just kind of doing the hawkers do, calling out tarts for sale, pastries for sale, and
Okay.
then kind of make for the door like I'm just gonna go ahead and walk in.
Okay. So you're kind of coming up the street here. As you're going along, some of the passerby, there's still carriages and pedestrians going by. There's actually a kind of a young woman actually comes up to you as you're going down the street, kind of calling out about these tarts, and she says, "Yes. How much?"
$1 silver.
Oh, wonderful. Are they fresh?
Yes, made them myself.
Oh, what varieties do you have here? I see you have a few different types.
I work with fruit tarts mainly. You should try this peach one.
Oh, lovely. Yes, of course. And she kind of happily hands a silver out of her purse to you and takes one of these peach tarts.
Offer my thanks.
This is delightful. Do you have a bake shop somewhere nearby that you opened up?
No, future endeavors.
Ah, I see. Well, what is your name by chance? We can keep you in keep our ears out for whenever that does happen. This was lovely.
Thank you. My name is Torde.
Well, it was a pleasure to meet you. And she heads off down the street. So you make your way up kind of towards the door here. At pretty much as soon as you kind of veer off the street and start, going up the few steps here. It's about maybe about 10 steps up to the door. The walls that are around the villa are about 12-foot high walls of stone. And these stairs, in terms of height, on the side of this main house structure, which is about 2 or 3 stories tall, they go up a little ways. But as soon as you kind of go to make a step onto those, the guard at the top of the stairs kind of looks up from his stool and says, "What business do you have here?"
Just talking somewhere, sir.
Well, that's all well and good, but this is private property, sir. I'll have to ask you to please move along and sell your wares out in the street.
Now, if the mistress and master of the house know that you turned my tarts down, they will be very furious with you. I have the best tarts in town.
Well, that is... that may be so, sir, but I am afraid that the lady and master of the house have their own business to attend to, and they don't want any particular strangers coming around, I'm afraid. So please, I must ask you to move along.
Gonna make to offer him a tart and just keep coming up the steps.
Sir, I implore you, I will have to alert the rest of the guard if you continue any further. This is private property. Please, make your way back onto the street.
How far up before he starts getting like super annoyed?
I mean, he already sounds pretty annoyed. He hasn't like grabbed a weapon yet, but he's stood up and kind of has his hand out, kind of motioning you to please get off the property, sir.
I'll go up a couple more steps and then stumble and act like I'm injured. Start screaming, that he pushed me down.
Okay. Do a performance check. Okay. All right, so you kind of go up a little bit further, and like as you're kind of getting within the last few steps here, like you can see he's kind of reaching for the weapon at his waist, and you stumble. Roll a d4 for me. We'll see. Okay. So you stumble towards the wall of the house. So you're kind of going up the stairs, and you kind of stumble to the right and kind of smash into the wall here. Tarts kind of spill off the plate a bit. A couple of them kind of bounce down the stairs. And you start making this commotion. And at this, the guard like unsheaths his weapon entirely and kind of has it out standing over you here and says, "Sir, please, you must leave or I will alert the guard." And some of the other pedestrians that are passing by on the street have kind of stopped now. You're making a bit of a scene here, and they're kind of watching to see what happens.
The main goal is to get him to touch my skin, like touch my hand, so that I can act the poison, the charm poison.
Okay.
So I'll act like I'm hurt, trying to get up and like reach for assistance.
Okay. So he sees you kind of reaching out to him here, and he kind of lifts up his foot, which has kind of a decent leather boot on it, and he kind of shoves this at your hand and kind of shoves you backwards down the steps with his boot. And at this, like as he's pushing you, he's like, "Get on out of here! Or I'm not playing any of your games."
I'll just have to file a complaint with your mistress and master.
He kind of chuckles at this and says, "Well, I'd like to see you try. They will surely reward me for keeping good watch over their home."
All right, so I just want to kind of watch and see if anybody else comes through this door. Try to establish a pattern.
Okay. Roll another perception check for me. So, like, you kind of make your way away a bit, and continue trying to keep a watch around the area. Okay. So, as you are, so like you kind of back away from the stairs. Like he's still kind of watching you this whole time, and eventually you kind of slip back into the crowd and continue kind of making slow rounds around the villa, keeping an eye on things. And you notice, so like you're kind of coming around the block, like you're coming down, Lion Street and turning back on to Serdune Street, and you see kind of silhouetted in the sunlight, because like we're getting into mid-afternoon here when this is all happening. But up on the roof of the building, kind of to the southwest of the villa across Serdune Street, you see two figures kind of standing up there who seem to be kind of keeping a watch of sorts on the villa as well. And like as you're kind of walking up Serdune Street to the northwest, like you keep kind of glancing up at them, and you notice that they kind of keep changing position on the roof from time to time, and they're trying to keep low. You can see that they're kind of like hunched down a bit on the roof, and they kind of seem to just move to different positions on the roof. Kind of maybe you see them kind of raise their arms from time to time, perhaps trying to shade their eyes. But you see these two figures up there. In addition to that, you continue walking up Serdune Street and turn, the corner onto the Pony Way that hooks over to Horn Street. And you see, almost out of the corner of your eye, kind of ducking into the alley of that little block to the northwest of the estate, what looks to be a gazer. Like you catch a glimpse of a gazer kind of disappearing into the alleyway. And if you don't know what a gazer is, I'll get you a picture. And a second here. I'll get you a picture regardless. That's a gazer. They're not very big. Like gazers are pretty small. They're about, let's see, if I remember right, their size is tiny. Let me get a accurate size for you here. Yeah, they're tiny. So this thing's only about 8 inches tall, and you see this kind of floating in midair and kind of disappearing into this alleyway to the northwest of the estate.
And it's organic, it's not mechanical.
Yeah, this is an organic creature. Like from what you know, just as a general knowledge, gazers are kind of a similar family to beholders. Clearly from the way they look. They like you don't know too many details about them, but you know that they are beholder kin. So that same type of creature, but they're kind of a lesser variant of that. A lesser tiny variant compared to like a real beholder.
All right, and then I'll just head back to Troll Skull.
Okay. Do you send any messages through the sending stones at all, or are you going to wait to let them know any information until they all meet up back with you here?
Yeah, since I'm not in trouble, I don't want to worry anybody.
Okay. All right. So you make your way back to Troll Skull then with this in mind. So the rest of you, you make your way up to Raynar's place here again. And let me get that pulled up here. All right, so you make your way over to Raynar's manor over in kind of the northwestern part of Waterdeep, and you knock on the door, and you are met again by this kind of old halfling butler with white hair, Madrick, who you'd met before. And he opens the door and sees you all, and kind of a smile beams across his face. He says, "Ah, yes, welcome back. You've returned so soon. More news for Master Raynar?" Oh, did I lose you guys? Quick, Jinku, Mix, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I wasn't sure. So yeah, so you three have arrived at Raynar's house, and the butler has answered the door, greeting you. Do you have more news for my master?
Maybe.
Oh, I think Quick's internet died again. I see him typing. One sec. Oh. Oh. Yep. Okay. Quick just dropped. Okay. We'll give him a quick second here. Although I just hold on. Pumpkin, get down here. Well, Quick's reconnecting here. Oh. Is he back?
Yeah.
There we go. Welcome back, Quick. Okay.
And it's in out. I'm getting a lot of packet loss.
Yeah, your voice right there was really robot voicey there when you talked.
It's gonna keep being like that occasionally. I'm watching it, and it's fucking.
There you go. I can hear you clearer now. So yeah, so you all show up at Raynar's place, and Madrick has answered the door. More news for my master, then.
Please.
All right. Well, come in. And he kind of leads you in back to the table where you had sat before, and he says, "Wait one moment. I will be right back with Raynar." And you hear him kind of head off through the house and upstairs and bring Raynar back down. And Raynar comes in and says, "Ah, have you brought any further news? What more have you found out?"
We told him about the thing belonging to the Grauhund family, right? Or no?
Yeah, he's the one who told you where the Growlins lived.
Okay. Yeah, we have become quite friendly with an innkeep who has given us some information. Tell us, have you ever heard of the name? I gotta connect again. Kalain of the Nine Waters.
So at this, Kalain, as you say the name Kalain, he gets this kind of sad look across his face, and he kind of walks over and slowly pulls out one of the chairs at the table here. Sits down. He says, "Kalain, yes, Kalain. She was a former mistress of my father at one point in time. What? Where did you hear that name?"
An innkeeper mentioned it to us in relation to Dalakar. Here. I'm not entirely trusting of Raynar, but I'll show him this letter.
Okay. So Raynar kind of looks over this letter here, and kind of nodding as he reads over it, and he's like, Yes, yes. She was always nicer to Dalekar than my father was. I can see why he may have reached out to her for assistance. And this letter, the innkeeper, he said it just arrived.
Yes.
Hmm.
Amidst a large number of shady people being around that inn lately, they had received this letter for Dalekar.
Well, given in the letter that I received from Dalekar, it seemed he was in somewhat of desperate straits to meet with me. It seems he may have reached out to Kulain as well for assistance in whatever he was hoping to speak to me about. Uh, if it was some sort of dealing with my father, I mean, in a lot of ways, Kulain was closer to him than I was. Perhaps she knows something about what all this business is about.
Interesting. Is Colleen a resident of Waterdeep, or did your father like to travel to see his mistresses?
She is a resident of Waterdeep, although I'm afraid she doesn't get out too much anymore after my father tossed her aside and then disappeared. She kind of descended into a bit of a madness, I would say. She lives alone. There is a tower down in the Sea Ward where last I recall that she made her studio of sorts. She always loved painting. It was her thing. And I think in the sadness of losing Daggelt, my father, I think perhaps the art consumed her. But here, I will show you where that can be found. And he kind of pulls up he kind of reaches out for the map that you have of the area, and it marks down a. Let me get. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me open up the right map here. Okay. Oh, damn it. I don't have a pin for that one. Let me make a pin real quick for you guys.
Oh man, you set up like hundreds of pins for Waterdeep and you don't have one for this one?
No, this one wasn't on the interactive map because I pulled a lot of the pins off of this website that's like an interactive map of Waterdeep, and this particular one isn't on there. So some of these ones, if they're specific to some other things, I don't have. Let me here. Kulain's. Okay, here we go. So this is down in the. Oh wait. That is not the right ward. I'm looking at the wrong ward. 1 second. Ignore that map. That is the dock ward, not the sea ward. There's the sea ward. Let's see. Where is that? Sorry about that. There we go. Lane. There we go. Okay, share map. Ding dong. Okay, so this is in the Sea Wards. This is the northwestern portion of Waterdeep. And you should see a green pin kind of up, towards the northwestern corner of town, in the middle of a block, kind of up near the wall, along the Street of the Singing Dolphin and just north of the Breeze Cut. So that is where Colleen resides.
Perhaps we should meet up with Torte and maybe go speak with Kalain and see what we can learn there. What do you think, Mix? Mix agrees. Let's do that.
All right.
Silence is consent from Mix. And then my homunculus will stick both fists, because they're tiny little fists, up Mix's nose, one in each nostril, and we will head on our way.
All right. So you're heading back to Troll Skull first to meet with Torta?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go chat with Torta.
Okay. All right. So you make your way back across town to Troll Skull. It's kind of getting into the evening now, and you make your way back, and inside Torta is there waiting for you all.
Hey, Torta, what did you find out?
Nothing really. I got beat up by a guard.
Oh, are you all right?
Yeah, I was trying to act like I was hurt. Noticed two people on the rooftop watching the manor as I was. But other than that, not a whole lot. Oh, then this little eyeball thing floated in the alley. I forgot about that.
Eyeball thing.
Yeah, it kind of looked like what is it called? A beholder, but miniaturized.
Suspicious. I don't know if I like the sound of that. Beholders are scary as hell.
I've only seen pictures.
Yeah, me too, and I'd like to keep it that way.
Well, Boo, you do recall, you've seen creatures such as these before, a long, long time ago, when you were all rescuing Raynar and had some adventures in the sewers. You encountered some gazers.
Oh yeah.
There.
Remember, I went dumb for a little while. Well,
Okay,
more
I
dumb.
couldn't remember, and I didn't want to metagame, and I couldn't recall if we had specifically seen some or not.
Yeah.
The
gazers didn't make Jinku stupid. That was the
brain puppies.
That was the brain puppies. Yeah.
I think that was in the same area, though.
It was around that same area. This was like session 2, so months and months ago. So that's why I bring it up. But you guys have run into these before. These ones you recall, Boo. Like as you guys were traveling through the sewers, following the marks of Xanathar that were kind of leading your way. You came across like a small group of these, just kind of patrolling down there. This was before you made it to the larger area with the brain puppies and the mind flayer and stuff. But you have seen these before.
I don't like these at all. We've seen them before. I'm just now remembering, Torte. It was a while ago. Suspicious. We were dealing with, I believe, the the Zens or the Xanathars at the time when we saw these, right?
You were kind of dealing with both, because the Zentrum were involved and the Xanathars were involved in all of that business. But yeah, the Zents are the ones with the black snakes and the tattoos, and then the Xanathars are the Xanathars, obviously. Rival gangs.
Well, here's what we found. The innkeeper had this letter here, so we went and talked to our friend Raynor and got a little more information on the sender. I'll pass him the letter. It seems like the sender, Kalain of the Nine Waters, resides in Waterdeep here, and we were thinking about maybe going and seeing them.
Sounds like a good plan.
Maybe they can help us piece together some information. I don't quite want to push on this Growhunt family yet. I know they're obviously the owners of this thing, and eventually will burn their house to the ground and eradicate their name from Waterdeep for what they've done, but we need to be sure.
Maybe this lady will know something about the family.
Yes, if she'll help us. So the question is, before we go see Kalain, do we let her know about Dalakar's demise? How much do we want to tell her?
Do we maybe just want to wait till we see her, see what kind of vibe we get from her?
Sure, let's do that.
Okay. All right. So do you make your way over to that part of town then?
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay. All right. So five of you make your way over to the northwestern part of Waterdeep. As you get kind of into this area, this very northwestern corner, like it's still, this is still a pretty nice part of Waterdeep, although it seems like it seems somewhat more aged than the part of town that you guys usually live in. The buildings seem a little older. There's a little bit more kind of worn down places, it seems. But you do eventually make it to this part of town where Colleen lives, and the block that it's in. Most of the structures that are around the edges of this block are only 1 or 2 stories tall. A decent number of them are empty, it looks like. But the ones that remain seem to be just kind of somewhat middle class homes. There's maybe a small shop on the corner, and then behind them in the alley, there is this small tower that's about 7 stories tall. And it seems a little well worn and not very well kept. Like it's got like a little bit of a yard around it. Like there's like a very low wall, kind of around the base, like a 3-foot, 4-foot high wall around the base, just kind of a decorative of sorts, and a small yard that kind of leads up to a door in it. But it doesn't seem very well tended. It seems like the grass has kind of grown long, and the flowers seem a little overgrown for what you would expect. There's a decent size, kind of sturdy wooden door on the base of the tower.
Well, this place looks not so great. Let's go take a look. I'll go knock on the door.
Okay. So you go and knock on the door, and for a little while, um, there isn't a response for probably a good 30 seconds or so. And then you do hear kind of these soft footsteps from inside, and the door opens very slightly, enough that you can see the face beyond it, but not wide enough for to fit through. And you see a face of a woman who has seen a lot of sadness in her life. Her face is one that is beautiful, but there's lines all across it, her forehead, her cheeks, uh, from stress, sadness, that have just kind of etched themselves into this once probably stunningly beautiful face. And she has this long kind of ink black hair, coming off of her head that's streaked with these lines of silver and gray coming through. She doesn't look particularly old. She looks like she might be maybe late 30s, maybe early 40s. But the lines on her face and the color and the streaks in her hair make it seem like she's gone through a lot in the years that she has had. And she sees you all kind of standing there, just this group of people, and almost immediately gets this look of fear on her face as she sees this group of people here, and she kind of quickly says to you all, "Back! I know Daggle sent you. I won't let you take me." And she slams the door.
I will point my hand at the door.
Mm-hmm.
Like as she's slamming it. Well, probably after she slams it. It doesn't say I have to see them, so I think I can do this. And I will use message, and I will say to her. She said, "Daggle."
Daggelt. Daggelt is the name of Reynard's dad.
I will say, "I do not know this Daggelt, but we bring news of your friend Alikar."
Okay. You said that was just a message that you cast?
Yeah, it's message. So yeah, I can do 25 words or something.
Okay.
And they can reply in a whisper if they want to, but I just figure I should tell her.
Okay. All right. So you send this message through the door to her, and there's kind of silence for a minute or so, and after a moment, you hear the turning of the door handle, and the door kind of opens again slowly. Still not very far, far enough to see her face. And she kind of takes another look at you, and you can see she still has kind of a look of nervousness in her eyes, and almost with like a nervous tick. One of her hands, she just kind of keeps kind of scratching at one of her cheeks, almost kind of a nervous, just kind of as a tick of sorts. As you all are standing there, despite this message that you sent, she still seems fairly distressed. And she says, "Well, I guess I can speak to you if you know of Dalakar. Let's make it quick. I'm sorry, I don't trust strangers.
That is understandable, my lady. Whatever makes you most comfortable, I would be happy. I'm not here to harm you, and I give my word that none of my friends will harm nor charm you. With a pointed glare at Mix.
All right.
Unfortunately, I bring uh, some bad news. Perhaps you might want to sit down for this information.
Oh, oh dear. Well, I guess we best come upstairs with me. Let us get let us get away from the watchful eyes of the street. Come, come inside. And she kind of motions you in through the door, and starts walking up the stairs. Do you guys come in?
Oh, I will, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. As you come through the door, like once you're inside the tower, the door shuts behind you, and you see what has shut the door looks to be almost a kind of an ethereal looking deer, like a small fawn uh, age of a deer has kind of pushed the door shut behind you, and it kind of turns its head and looks at you, and then it kind of prances up the stairs after Lady Colleen.
Well, that is some interesting magic.
So as you all are making your way up the stairs, she goes up a couple floors and kind of comes into a larger room. The first thing you notice coming into this kind of, as you come up the stairs into this more open area of the tower, is it's quite in disarray, mainly due to the large number of canvases set up everywhere. Some of them painted fully, some of them in some sort of mid work, some of them with large tears across them tossed aside against the wall, other ones seemingly streaked with large splashes of paint, others with kind of painter's cloth draped over them. Like the whole room kind of has that scent of paint, old paint, and new paint. It seems that this is most of what she does here is kind of in her loneliness here, has taken up to just kind of painting in her madness. You do also notice, along with these paintings, there are quite a number of these kind of ethereal creatures around. Most of them kind of small animals of the woodland variety. Birds, squirrels, another fawn or two. All very kind of pleasant, kind of friendly, comforting type woodland creatures. Maybe a rabbit or two. But they're just kind of around. And like as you're kind of looking around this room, you see Kalain walk over to one of the paintings, which kind of depicts this another kind of woodland landscape, and it has a few of these kind of woodland creatures painted into it. And she kind of touches her hand against one of the little birds in this painting, and this ethereal bird kind of emerges from the canvas, and it's like this little kind of beautiful little bluebird, and it kind of flutters around a little bit and lands on her hand, it seems to give her like some sense of comfort. These creatures that she pulls from her art.
Your art is perplexing. I find it quite beautiful. But I'm sorry, that is not what we're here for. I have a tendency to avoid news like this.
Ah, beauty. Beauty, yes. Of course, when the red-haired maiden of the north snatched him away from me, that I don't know what beauty he saw in her, that he left me to rot here in Waterdeep alone. I was his beauty once.
I see. Well, if you don't mind me saying, you are still a stunning specimen.
Please, please, no. No empty words. I have heard too many in my time. What news do you have of Dalakar? I sent him correspondence recently after thinking it over for some days. What do you know of him?
Have you heard of the recent issues in Troll Skull Alley and thereabouts?
I'm afraid I do not know of what you speak. I do not get out much. The streets of Waterdeep are dangerous. They watch. They listen. They seek to kill. I dare not venture more than I must.
I see. Well, we'll speak more on that in a moment. Unfortunately, there was an incident, and Dalakar unexpectedly passed away in a blaze of fire.
If Dalakar is dead, then you... If Dalakar has passed away and you know of him, then you must have killed him on Daggle's orders. And that means that you're... And that means that you're here for me! No! Back! And she kind of scurries behind a couple of the canvases here, grabbing a couple handfuls of paintbrushes and kind of brandishing them in your direction. Back, Daggle, you ghost that haunts me! Away!
Well, I'll back up and I'll like put my little arms out and try and like shoo Jinku and Torte and Mix back. And I'll say, I understand how this looks. Unfortunately, we were also victims of the assault that Dalakar caused Dalakar to pass away. I know that my words do not carry much weight to you, but I swear upon all that I aspire to be that I wish you no ill will at this time. If you did not cause this issue, then I can guarantee your safety.
So you kind of let out, speak these calming words to her, and none of you seem to be, making any sort of motions towards weapons or anything like that. So, after a moment, she, the kind of heavy breathing you hear from over behind this canvas kind of slows again, and you see her kind of slowly look out again, kind of scratching nervously at her cheek as she watches you all. And he says, "So, Dalakar's demise affected you somehow too. Pray, tell, what involvement did you have with Dalakar? How did you come to know of him?"
I roll an insight check on her and just.
Yeah.
It seems like she's just like batshit crazy. And if she's just batshit crazy, I'm okay with it. But just what kind of a vibe am I getting off of this lady?
Okay. So you do an insight check on Kalain here. And most of the vibe that you get off of her is abject depression.
Dalakar was a friend of a friend who was coming to the grand opening of our establishment, the Troll Skull Manor, when a fireball was released outside. Unfortunately, quite a few people were injured and some perished. Dalakar was one that unfortunately perished.
What was he doing coming to your establishment? What business did he have there?
I understand how this may sound, but again, I must stress to you that I do not know Daggle personally,
Who is
nor
this?
do I think very highly of the man.
Who is this friend of a friend?
It was Raynar.
Raynar. He
Daggle's
was.
son.
Yes. I am aware of Raynar. He was not like his father. He was a kinder soul than Daggelt was. He always was more concerned with his friends and acquaintances and the happiness that came from them, unlike Daggelt, who seemed to be focused on anything else other than me.
I quite agree with your assessment of Raynar. I like him. He seemed to want to tell Raynar something, and I'll be honest, your letter seems to indicate that you may know what this thing is, and well, I can see that you have had a rough go of life recently, and the reason that I am personally looking into this issue is that someone I very much cared for was injured in this attack as well, and I wish to bring the perpetrator to a swift, public, and bloody justice. And I was hoping that you might be able to help us. Also, I really like your art. It's very beautiful.
So she kind of sighs and sits down on one of the many kind of little stools that's kind of littered around the place here, and she kind of looks off into the distance somewhere, and says, "During the last days that Daggett was here with me, he was obsessed with this kind of temple or vault or something of that sort. He seemed to pour so much time and energy into it, more than into us. And then, of course, the red-haired North tempted him away, and he has since not returned. But the vault was of some sort of importance to him. I do not know what he wanted with it, but it was all he could focus on up until he went away."
Do you know where he went away to?
Well, he went to Neverwinter. That city seduced him away from Waterdeep, although he had other reasons to flee. The lords of Waterdeep had some trouble with him that were out for him, but the seduction of the North had long been there before the troubles began.
I've heard Neverwinter nights can be a lot of fun.
She gets kind of an angry look at this as you say this. She says, "Yes, more fun than us with that bitch."
Yes, what a bitch indeed. And so you think Dalakar might have known something of this?
Well, Dalakar was a close confidant of Lord Daggett. He often worked as a informant or spy of sorts, getting him information for the various dealings he was involved with. And he sent me a letter, some time ago, a bit of a frantic note, and she kind of stands up and kind of wanders over to a desk nearby, which is just kind of littered with all sorts of papers and paintings and torn up shreds of papers and things, and digs out a letter which is similar to the one that Reynard received, that he had urgent information and needed to meet with her as soon as possible, and that he was being watched. Pretty much exactly the same message that Reynard had gotten. But she kind of pulls this letter out and is like reading it over, and she says, "I received this some time ago, and I didn't reply right away. I have my distrusts of Daggett, and Dalakar was close to him, and I wondered if this was again part of some plot. But despite the work he had done for Daggett, he was always kind to me. And so after some time, I decided to write him back and see if there was anything that I could do Wait, what? Still Minecraft? Hold on.
It's changed now.
Oh, is it? No, it must not have updated properly. Well, that's fixed now. This is roleplay Minecraft. Imagine everything is very blocky.
It's your Christian Minecraft server. Let's do this. All right.
Okay, should be Dungeons and Dragons now. Okay.
So, unfortunately, it seems like Delacar took the information to the grave. We searched his rooms at the inn that he was staying at. You're aware of that inn, and did not really find much of note. But it seemed like maybe somebody had gotten there before we had.
Perhaps. Perhaps these may be of some use to you. And she kind of, goes again over to, this kind of desk piled with papers and things. And she kind of digs through the stack. Papers are kind of falling off the desk left and right here. And she produces kind of a small wooden box. Like, it almost kind of looks like a jewelry box of sorts. But she opens it up, and inside looks to be a stack of folded up pieces of paper. And she kind of hands this little lockbox of sorts over to you. It says, these were some papers Daggold left behind when he left in his study. They never seemed of particular interest to me. Most of them are concerning various affairs of his around the city with businesses and his work as a Lord of Waterdeep. But perhaps there is something in here that is of use to you.
Thank you. I appreciate you giving us this information. I promise you that we will do everything in our power to avenge Delacar's passing and deal with those who watch.
Well, I hope that you can at least find more peace than I have. As she says this, she kind of touches another painting, and like a little chipmunk comes out of the painting and kind of runs up her arm and sits on her shoulder.
Now that we have dealt with that business, I must say your art is like nothing I've ever seen before. I mean, how do you do this? I can only manage one familiar myself, and I'll try to not enough for this.
You might have to say that very last bit again because it got very, very muffled.
What? My sweet lady, your art is very beautiful. Tell me, how do you manage this? I can only manage one familiar, and you seem to have many. What magic is this?
This is the weave, of course. It speaks.
Of course.
It speaks through speaks through the fabric of my art. And the methods well, I'm afraid I do not know. It's just something I've had a connection to. I've never studied such things or of that sort. That these creatures that I paint, where they be these small friends that give me comfort, or something more fierce for protection. I can use the weave to bring them out of the canvas for a time.
I mentioned earlier that someone we cared for was injured in this attack as well. Um, they they're a small child, a street urchin. We found several of them and have been caring for them and providing education and trying to give them a better life than what the streets of Waterdeep could provide. I I know this is a little bit forward and we have just met, but do you ever do commission work? I'm sure the children would love a forest mural in their quarters.
She kind of looks up at this and says, "Well, I can't say that it is something I have really done for many years. Ever since Dagoth left and I sequestered myself in this tower. Not many come calling these days. And much of the art that I create is more of an expression of myself in my mind than for show, I guess, would be the word. But I can think on it. It is not something I've done much in many a time, so I'm not quite comfortable with the idea, I guess. For now.
Well, I'm sure that if you dwell on it and decide that it might be something you would enjoy, I know that the children would quite love some art, and I personally would guarantee your safety uh, traveling to and from Troll Skull Manor. We would provide an armed escort. So hopefully, don't let that be a worry, and I won't bother you anymore. But I would like to come see you again if that's all right.
She kind of nervously scratches at her cheek and doesn't answer. It seems that the thought of this still kind of makes her uncomfortable. Um, but, I mean, she seems to mull it over in her head just from like watching her. But she doesn't verbally respond to that inquiry.
We will take our leave. Thank you for this information. I'll hold up the box.
Mm-hmm.
If you seek or need anything, please call upon us at Troll Skull Manor, and we will be here as soon as is possible.
Yes. Troll Skull. Of course.
I will see you again soon.
One of the same little kind of ethereal fawn that had shut the door behind you all kind of prances over to the stairs and kind of starts heading down ahead of you.
I'll follow it out.
It grabs onto the kind of inner handle of the door with its mouth and pulls it open. And after you all are back out in the kind of overgrown garden outside the tower, the door kind of quietly shuts behind you. And we are over half with that, so we'll take a break right now and come back pretty much right at 10 and then do a little more for the end of the stream here. So,
Cool.
take a quick break, and we'll see you all here soon. All right, we are back. Oh, and there's a chair we were gone. Thank you, Flippin' D, if you're still here for that chair. So you all are now outside of the Lady Calane's tower in the northwest part of Waterdeep, and it is now fairly on into the evening, probably 8 o'clock at night.
We forgot to ask her about that family.
Oh, we didn't. She was really sad though. She was depressing me. I just wanted to like make her happy, so
She is a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
I'll go back and see her in a couple days, with some wine or something, and I'll chat with her about the family if we still need to.
All right. So what do you guys get up to at this point? Just head back on Troll Skull?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you guys make your way back over to the manor and make your way inside. You do still have this box of papers that you haven't taken a look at yet.
Yeah, I'll keep it in my pocket until we get to Troll Skull.
You guys are there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll pop that sucker open and let's look at this, guys.
Okay. So you crack open this little lockbox here, and there are a few different papers in here, and they are as follows. So one of these papers looks to be a list, kind of like a to-do list of sorts, and most of the list is a bunch of kind of banal, crossed out tasks that are kind of minor and unimportant. But one of them in the list that is crossed out is move the dragon to the Malerkin ceremonial vault. And that is that piece of paper. On another piece of paper, you find some correspondence that seems to have been made with Hammond Craddock, the guy in charge of the Vintners, Distillers, and Brewers Guild. And the correspondence seems to be regarding a matter that Craddock gave Lord Daggalt large bribes to cover up a scandal involving contaminated liquor in the dock ward. And this correspondence is dated like 4 years ago. Most of the stuff that's in here that's dated is from 4 years ago. You find another piece of paper that has quite a few notes, and the notes on this are pertaining to a ceremonial vault built by the Malerkin dwarves beneath Waterdeep centuries ago. The notes detail that such vaults were built by worshippers of Dumathoin, the keeper of the mountain secrets, and this dwarven cult believed that Dumathoin encoded his secrets in the veins of ore and precious stones that he placed in the mountains that he raised from the earth for the dwarven people. And in their mining, the dwarves would release Dumathoin's secrets into the world, which anchored Dumathoin, and there was a period of discord between the dwarves and the Mordensamen, which is the council of the dwarven gods. And in order to appease Dumathoin and protect his secrets, the cult would mystically bind the secrets of the mountain into items of finely wrought dwarfcraft and make offerings to Dumathoin by securing them within ceremonial vaults. And such vaults, according to an ancient source, can be opened by standing before Dumathoin's doors and striking the scale of a dragon with a mithril hammer in the place where the sun's light should fall. And don't worry, there's a public note with all of these, so you don't have to write all that down. That was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Don't
I
worry.
like putting my interpretation down.
Well, you're more than welcome to write your own note, but so you have it. There's a note called Daggalt's Papers with these. And there is one last note in here, an unsigned letter written, dated 4 years ago to Daggalt Neverember. And all that it states is that the last of the 3 eyes has been secured. And that is it.
Well, this is all interesting information. What do you guys make of it?
Sounds like folk stories.
Most folk stories have root in fact somewhere.
Yeah, that's true.
I actually kind of want to explore and try to find these tunnels they're talking about.
Well, I don't think I'm quite up for that yet. Perhaps when we're stronger, we could seek out one of these vaults.
Yeah, like when we find a dragon scale.
And a mithril hammer. Maybe we should speak to Raynor about this in the morning.
All right.
Yeah, I'm definitely ready to go to bed. See the kids.
Oh, I'm sure Zyara was taking great care of the children.
Oh, I'm sure she did, but I miss the little tykes today.
You see the kids. I myself am famished. I'm gonna go scrounge for food in the kitchen.
All right. Well, you all take your various leaves, food, sleep, rest, so on. And the night passes uneventfully. In the morning, do you guys head straight on over to Raynar's?
I eat breakfast first.
Well, of course, obviously.
It's the most important meal of the day.
You got any more of them tarts, Torde?
Got one left.
Is it a good one? Can I have it?
Yeah, you can have it.
I'll take the tart, crack it in half. Do you want some mix? You haven't eaten all day. You've been pretty quiet. I'm sure you're hungry.
I think he's still sleeping.
You all enjoy your breakfast tarts.
We'll grumble and we'll head towards Raynar's house.
Okay.
Or I will. I don't know. I don't want to speak for the rest of the party. Sorry.
Yeah, Jinku will go with you.
Okay. Torto as well.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Before we leave, now I will copy this correspondence down, and I will keep the originals, and I will cast alarm on it, and hide it in my quarters, and again cast alarm on. I don't know if I have a window. I'll cast it on the windows and the doors.
Smart move. Okay. Cool.
For mental, is Raynar's house within a mile of this area?
Uh, uh more or less.
Okay.
Can't be asked to measure exactly right now on the map, but we'll say sure. Ish.
Okay. That'll work then. And I'll leave a sending stone with Zyara as we leave.
Okay. All right. So you make your way through town over towards Raynard's place. Torta, can you roll a perception check for me? Okay. All right. So you make your way over to Raynard's and once again find yourself at his front door. And knock, and are once again greeted by this elderly halfling. as he opens the door and sees you, he says, "My, you're becoming quite the regulars around here."
Yep.
Well, then, I guess I'll go get Raynar for you. You know the way to go.
I'll head that way.
So he gets upstairs and gets Raynar. And Raynar comes down. He's still kind of dressed in kind of like casual night clothes. Get up. And, sees you all and says, "Well, you must have found some interesting news to come over so early. Were you able to speak with Kalain at all? How is she
Yes.
doing?"
Well, I'll be honest. It seems like your father kind of broke that woman.
Well, yes, Daggalt. He had that kind of effect on women, unfortunately.
I've been thinking of him as D-bag in my head.
Well, I'm not fairly familiar with what a D-bag is, but if it is something unpleasant, then certainly.
Yes. We'll talk about it when you're a little older, Radar. So she provided us with a little bit of your father's correspondence here, and I'd like to know what you think of this. And I'll show him just the note about the 3 eyes.
The one that the third eye had been secured.
Yep.
Okay. So he looks at this note and thinks for a moment, and he says, "Wasn't... I feel like there was some other business with an eye, or some eye was mentioned. Yes, I remember when I was captured some time ago, and you all came to rescue me. There was some conversation amongst them about the eye and my locket that they broke. Afraid I don't remember much else, but it's the only other mention of an eye that I recall in recent memory."
Did he get that locket back, or did they take it with him?
The locket itself was there when you rescued him. Like it was his mother's locket had been given to him, and it had been broken open, and it seems something inside of the locket had been taken out. So he does still have the locket. He actually wasn't aware that there was even something in it. He couldn't get it open at the time, like when you had discussed with him at the time. But yeah, he still has the locket itself, but it was broken open. You found it sitting on like a table in the back room of the warehouse where you rescued Raynar from.
Oh, was there any eyes in your locket? Let's take a look at your locket again.
Certainly. One moment. And he kind of rushes out of the room, and you hear him heading upstairs. And a moment later, he comes back down with the locket and chain. And, it's still open. Like when they forced it open, they were somewhat rough with it, and it doesn't seem to clasp closed properly anymore. So he hasn't really worn it much since that time, it seems. But inside the locket it seems there was space of some kind, enough space for some kind of small spherical object. Um, Definitely not enough space for an like a full on eyeball, um, but something spherical could have fit inside it. But what that might have been, no clue.
Hmm. Well, it looks interesting. I see. I'll show him the other paper about the dwarven lore too.
Okay. He kind of reads over this description of this dwarven lore and this vault. And he kind of thinks for a moment and says, I wonder. I wonder if this is involved with all that money my father stole from the city.
Well, of course it's involved with the money your father stole from the city. Raynar, I do believe that all of this has to do with that. Somehow.
Well, of course, but I mean, perhaps these notes, they lead me to believe that perhaps that is where it is stored. Perhaps all this trouble that all these gangs are after in the city here, they're all after this hoard.
I also heard word of potential location of your father.
Well, I mean, last that I knew, had gone north to Neverwinter, but no one has really heard from him since. He disappeared up in that part of the land. Was there something more than that?
Something about a woman with red hair up there.
A woman with red hair. Well, my father, he had many dealings with mistresses in various locales, and I can't really say that I'm familiar with many of them. Red hair doesn't ring much of a bell. That could, well, that could be quite a number of them, to be honest.
Yeah. Your father does seem to get around, doesn't he? Hmm. Well, guys, what do you think of this information here? I may be intelligent, but I've got weak arms here. I can't carry you.
I don't know, like, it all seems connected somehow, but it's more questions than answers have presented themselves.
Every damn day.
Yeah, like why did I spend all day looking at that house yesterday?
Well, because we need to burn it down eventually.
Well, they didn't. I mean, we can't prove anything. Nobody came in, nobody went out. All we have is a ledger.
There's got to be somebody that can give us information on that family.
I mean, we could try to kidnap a guard. I have a guard in mind.
I've got some anger I need to work out. Do you know of any of these vaults These Malarkin vaults.
I mean, I've heard about them in myth, and, basically the same sort of tale is told in these notes here. But where they might be, or their entrance, or anything of that sort, I'm afraid that I doubt many know at all. I mean, it seems perhaps my father might have, but I have no knowledge beyond just tales.
I see.
So what do you intend to do about the Growlins with the information you found out about that Nimblewright being theirs that caused all that commotion?
Do you want an honest answer, or do you want an answer that will allow you to tell the truth to others without getting anyone in trouble, Raynar?
Well, perhaps it would be best to not give me more information than needs to be said.
Then I seek to have a conversation once I can figure out, or we can figure out who provided orders to this Nimblewright. We intend to speak to whoever provided those orders and ensure that they don't cause any harm again. But we're kind of we got to figure out how to actually prove it. We tried to have one of our friends here enter the household, and they were quite quickly rebuffed.
Hmm.
It seems interesting that such a poor family or a down on their luck family can afford a Nimblewright and, you know, decent guards.
Well, the Growlins aren't poor, per se. I mean, they still have a decent amount of wealth, but, compared to some of the other more higher echelons of the city of Waterdeep, their wealth pales in comparison to others. I mean, they certainly have the funds to, have a guard and the villa that they reside in, but, I mean, to certain groups of people, they may be grouped among the poor, but those types of people are far above and beyond your average Waterdavian's wealth.
I see. Hmm. Do you think they would grant us an audience then? If we all tried to speak with them, perhaps we should invite them to Troll Skull to talk.
Well, if they are in control of this Nimblewright, then I doubt they would be too trustful of going to Troll Skull, given what happened there. I mean, if it was on their orders, after all, they'd be returning to the scene of the crime, as it were.
Ah, I am not wise enough to think about that.
Maybe there's some way though we could get them to come and not make them suspicious.
Or maybe we can get them to invite us there.
Well, I doubt they'd be too interested in visiting with someone, well, below their station, as they would say. But has there, when you observed their home, Was there any others that seemed to have an eye on them?
There was a gazer and then two. I couldn't make out two what, but there were two people watching the home.
Well, if there are others watching the home, perhaps other forces may be taking action as well.
True. Perhaps we should just watch the home and see if an opportunity presents itself, maybe.
I don't think we really have any better ideas at this point.
Perhaps we could capture one of these other groups that are watching the home and get information from them.
Well, if they are all involved in this scheme, then perhaps someone has some sort of information as to what all is going on.
Find out who controlled that eyeball thing.
I find myself actually agreeing with Boo for a change.
Glad to
We're all
see you
shocked.
have gained some intelligence, Mix.
No, it's just you actually had a good idea, which has never happened before.
Well, Raynar, I think you've helped us as much as you can today. Thank you for holding our hand a little bit. I think we're off to have ourselves a good old-fashioned stakeout.
All right. Well, I wish you the best of luck on your stakeout. Hopefully you will find some more information so we can bring some sort of closure to whatever Delacar's life was lost over.
Yes, hopefully. Torte, do you have a good stakeout spot?
Surveilled the ground last time. I think it'd be better to get on a roof somewhere. When I was watching the route, did they move off of the one roof, or did they stay kind of stationary, just switching positions on that one roof?
The ones that you saw up on the roof at the time, they mainly stayed on that one. I mean, from where they were at, it would have been kind of awkward and tricky to get onto other roofs. So they were just kind of up on the one that they were on, watching from across the street.
So maybe we post up catty corner of them.
All right. Let's see if we can get roof access. Here.
I have no problem with getting roof access.
Me neither. It's the big one and the dumb one that have trouble getting up on roofs.
Maybe they do ground surveillance.
It probably wouldn't help to have a couple surveillance spots. More information potentially gathered that way.
Well, if you're going to be discreet, I mean, it probably would be better for you to be on the ground than on the roof. A loxodon on the roofs of the buildings, that would perhaps cause quite a bit of a stir, both from the watchers below and, perhaps to the roofs themselves. No offense.
None taken. I don't fancy being up that high anyways. Heights have never been my favorite.
No worry, Jinku. I'll take the high ground.
I thought he was the dumbling you spoke of.
He is, like I said. I'll pat Mix on the head and say, "It's okay, Mix. You'll get it someday."
In Mix's mind, he's really thinking of trying to make Boo burn his hand or inflict some major amount of pain somehow. Just
Well,
remember, I can hurt you. You can't hurt me.
if you ever hurt me, I can promise that I will consider any vows broken, and I will sacrifice you to a dark god. I promise you that I have the power to end your meager life at will, and it is my word that permits you to live, brother.
Okay, Boo.
Now let's go get something to eat and do a stakeout. Raynar, I bid you good day.
Yes, I hope to hear good news from you soon. And he bids you farewell, and Malak leads you out of the front door and back out onto the street. So you guys are all heading around the area. The market's right nearby. Very easy access to all sorts of foodstuffs that you could desire. For the stakeout, I know you'd mentioned having some people on the roof somehow, and some of you on the ground. What's the plan in terms of, time of day, perhaps? Like, when are you wanting to enact this?
I mean, strategically, we would want to be up there before I noticed that they were up there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So are you wanting to kind of go into that area and see if you see those watchers again?
Yeah, kind of patrol through, maybe find a place to set up the other two.
Okay.
Can you climb walls, Torte?
I can climb anything pretty well.
And he can jump.
I can ensure several of us are invisible for a period, about an hour, if needed. Perhaps we get situated towards dark and prepare to stay for a while. What do you think, Torte? You seem to have the most experience with this kind of spy stuff.
Oh, on our surveillance on the way back, do we see them up there?
Well, if you guys are heading over there right now to get kind of an eyeball on the place, just to see what's up, roll perception for me, if you're looking around.
I was thinking maybe setting up at like early dusk or early dawn.
Okay. So all of you are kind of, coming down Serdune Street there, and trying to take a look around, see if you catch any glimpse of anything. And Jinku, you see on a different roof this time. Still one of the ones just across Serdune Street from the villa, but a different roof. You do see a figure up there, kind of crouched under an eave. Like there's like a window coming out of like part of the roof, and there's like an eave over that window, and you see like kind of the shadow of a figure, kind of crouched up there.
Looks like someone beat us to the surveillance. And I'll kind of point up discreetly to where I see the figure, show to others.
Jinku points this out to you guys, and you guys are all kind of continuing to kind of discreetly be among the populace here. Like again, this is a fairly busy street, so there's lots of people coming and going up and down the street, and carriages and the like. But so you just kind of mix into the crowd as you're kind of moving down.
So they're moving buildings. Maybe we take two different sides of the street.
Are we looking to speak with these people or just watch ourselves?
I think we need to know more on what they're surveying. Like why are they watching? What are they watching? And then maybe go to the family and say, hey, we know you have spies watching you, and it's not us.
Well, we could become invisible and follow them fairly close, a couple of us. Maybe have Jinku and Mix keep an eye on them from the ground, and we could maybe try and follow them.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that.
And watch them. Maybe just keep an eye on them and see how close we can get or what we can learn.
Okay. So here, let me make sure you all can see the map here again of the area. So I'm going to drop. That's way too big. Okay, so you guys should see your tokens here on the map. So yeah, the villa's there in the middle with the wall around the gardens, and let me grab a thing here to mark where the guy on the roof is. Okay. So there's a guy posted up on the roof here, where that pin labeled thug is.
I can only make one of us invisible.
Okay.
I have to maintain concentration, so I can't do it to two.
No worries, I have my skills.
Okay.
Okay. Point out to me somebody who comes and leaves the villa often.
I didn't see anybody. There was
No.
just deliveries.
They're not casting friends. Friends gets us into trouble, Mix.
If you'd have asked, I'd have told you that I changed that out. And we leveled. I don't have that cantrip anymore.
I don't trust you.
No, I want to find somebody who has access to that villa so I can use Mask of Many Faces to impersonate them and walk in.
I would say choose a guard.
Do they leave the villa?
I don't. I mean, I didn't stay and watch their whole shift.
Maybe we should observe guard change, and we can knock one out on his way to the villa, and I'll take him over and walk in.
Well, Mix, why don't you and I find a spot where we can watch the guard? We can sit and pretend we're playing cards or something and keep an eye on him.
Ooh, I have dice. Shall we play dice for money?
Not for money. We're not really playing. We gotta pay attention.
Alright, let me just kind of draw a few things here for him. So, for the villa, so there is, there's a wall around the whole, there's the house that goes all the way up to the corner here, and there's a wall that goes, all the way around this garden area. That's 12 foot high, stone. The front gate of the house is on the northeast side. It's that box that I drew over there. And then on the southwest side of the house, kind of right behind where Jinku's token currently is, that is that staircase, small staircase leading to that back pantry door that Torta had tried going up to previously. But yeah, you guys are currently kind of milling about on the street here. And you guys can post up, whatever it is you're wanting to do.
Where are the guards?
In terms of ones that you can see, right now you can only see the one guard who is posted up by the back pantry door.
Jinku, I say we hide down this alley over here, and we can play pick play game, and we'll keep an eye out.
Okay, that works.
Just act like I'm taking all your money every once in a while.
Okay.
All right. Boo, Torta, what are you guys doing?
Gonna post up and watch this guy on the rooftop from this rooftop.
Okay. Over across the corner? Okay.
Yeah, I want to be able to see him. I don't want to be like noticeable.
Okay. So are you just kind of like getting out of sight somewhere and then kind of leaping up, leaping up onto a lower rooftop and then another one up above, that kind of thing? Okay.
Yep, that works for me.
All right. Boo, what are you doing?
I will do the same. I'll cast invisibility on myself, and I will climb the wall up here where I can keep an eye on the guy and Mix.
All right. Sounds good. So everyone's posted up here. So you are all kind of, keeping a watch on this area throughout the day here. This guy up on the rooftop here, part way into the afternoon, he's joined by a second figure. You see them kind of conversing up on the roof there. Every once in a while, Boo, from where you're at, you kind of see them seemingly pointing at various things down below, mainly towards the villa's direction, it seems. You aren't able to make out anything of what they're talking about, but you do see those motions. Torta, over on the other roof over there, roll me a perception check. Okay. All right. So as the day wears on, and kind of getting into the evening, Boo, Torta, both of you roll me another perception check here. Okay. Boo, as it gets kind of into the evening and starts to get dark, you are keeping an eye on these guys on the roof here, and you see one of them kind of reach into, like some kind of side bag and pull something out. And then a moment later, you see a small black snake with wings kind of lift off from where they are and then fly to the southwest, kind of just over the rooftops.
I'll use message to tell Jinku and Torte. It looks like the Watchers are the child killer's interims. I just saw them send a snake down towards the dock ward. I think that's southwest.
Yeah, I mean, most of the city is to the southwest of you, so.
Yeah. Down in the direction of the dock ward.
Torta, give me another perception check. Torta, as you've been watching these guys over on the other roof, you see over to the east of you, kind of hovering above the roof of this building here that I just drew a little box around. Wish I could change the color off of black so it's easier to see. You see another one of these gazer creatures kind of hovering above the roof over there.
And is it taking notice to me?
Roll a stealth check for me. No, it does not. As you kind of see this out of the corner of your eye, you take a look over at it, and it seems to kind of hover up, and like it appears from like behind, like further to the east of that building. It kind of seems to hover up, and then you see it kind of come into view over the roof there. And you see it kind of looking around a little bit. Its little eye stalks kind of wiggling a little, and then it just kind of floats across that line of roofs to the southeast.
Okay. And the two guys are still on the other side.
Yeah, like you did not get you didn't see that snake that Boo did, but you've still been seeing them. Mostly just kind of silently watching, adjusting position now and then, still on that roof,
Right.
pointing down at the villa sometimes. So about 10 minutes after after you saw that snake fly off, roll a perception check for me, Boo, from where you're at.
Oof.
Oof. Okay. So, from where you are, like it's starting to get, fairly darker now. Most of the traffic on the street has died down a decent bit. Like there's still a few passerby here and there going along. Residents of the neighborhood. Maybe a carriage, few and far between. But it has mostly quieted down a fair bit. Mix, roll a perception check for me from where you're at in that side alley.
Who do you want to roll for second?
You, Mix. All right. So, Mix, you and Jink are kind of playing this fake gambling game here, and you've kind of been alternating between maybe a few different games all day just to kind of keep you from getting too bored. As it's getting a little darker here, you see very quickly, in like a matter of seconds, a small group of people in black cloaks suddenly come rushing up Serdune Street, and they, very quietly and quickly run up these stairs, and you see the one at the front, like, you hear, maybe like for a second, like the guard that was on the stairs kind of let out like a huh! And you see the person at the front of this group of figures kind of smash him against the wall with like hand over his mouth, and seems to draw a dagger out from under his cloak, slits the guy's throat. The guard drops to the floor, and then after a moment you see them all kind of gathering here at the top of the stairs, and the door for the pantry opens and the whole group just rushes inside within seconds here.
I'm going to lean over and tell Jinko what I just saw and try to signal for Boo up on the roof.
Okay. Boo, you didn't see this group from where you were at. Yeah, you didn't see them coming. But you do look down, keeping an eye on Mix to make sure he's not in any trouble or not getting into trouble. And you see Mix kind of trying to signal you from down on the ground.
I'm going to tap the dice and cast light on them and keep flashing the light at the dimmest I can.
Okay. Cool.
When I see him signal me, I'll use message and I'll ask him what's going on.
And I'll tell him about the group of cloak figures and to look and see the dead guard.
Okay. Boo, what do you do with this information?
I'll relay it to Torte. I'll say it looks like it was the Zents that seemed to be here. So I'll tell him it seems like the Zents are moving on the Grolhund house. They've killed someone. Should we move in too?
Can Mix do a stealth check?
Sure. What are you trying to stealth against?
I want to sneak over to the guard and cast Spare the Dying on him to see if we can get his help and get in this house.
Okay. Well, you head over to the guard here, not particularly stealthily, but you get over there, and the back pantry door to this place is open. It seems like when this group of people came and opened the door somehow, they didn't close it behind them, and this guard over against the wall Like he seems to, his throat has been cut. What is it that Spare the Dying does? It just like stabilize them?
You touch a living creature that has 0 hit points. The creature becomes stable. The spell has no effect on undead or constructs.
Okay. So you cast Spare the Dying on this guard. And, he seems to at least still breathe. There's still a decent amount of blood around. But you seem to have stabilized him somewhat. And you start to hear from inside the house some screams that then very shortly get cut off. And then you also start hearing some commotion of fighting. You hear the clanking of some swords, and some cries for help inside. So it seems that something is in motion here.
I'm assuming. I just know Mix that he's keeping an eye on me. So I'm gonna use the Sending Stones. Who has the other one?
Zara.
Is that alright at the house?
Crap. I'm gonna. I have a bronze bell. I'm gonna cast light to flash at Mix or at Boo to see if he'll message me again.
Okay. Boo, you see some flashes of light coming from down below.
What?
Screams and people dying inside. Maybe we should just get the city guards involved and stand back and watch.
No. And then I'll message Torte. It sounds like it's getting busy inside. I'm going in. You should come. And I'll send that to Jinko too.
Mix is gonna wait in the doorway for everybody.
Okay. So you all kind of gather up outside the place here.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think that will be a good place to call it for tonight, because we are right about at the 11th hour here. And we'll get into what goes on in here next time.
Mood?
Yeah.
Is your stream done?
I can. 1 second here. Let me see if there's anybody that I can raid right now. 1 second. Anybody I know?
2 people running Dragon Heist. 3. Well, 1 Dragon Heist and two running Man Mage.
Okay. What's the name of one of the ones doing Dragon Heist?
Rob, 2E. Like Rob, and then the numeral 2, and then E is an echo.
Okay, and that's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He makes mods that we use.
Oh, yeah. He's the guy who makes the coding for the spells and shit. That's right.
Yep.
Cool. Well, we will send you over to Rob then, everybody who's still watching, and we will see you next time. And away we go. Raid ahoy.